Well, here's the article at Infowars.com by Anthony Gucciardi. It's official. McDonald's and Monsanto are both losing money fast, close quote. Public awakens to what's really in their food, including the average person who over a lifetime eats a massive amount of, quote, fake food. And again, I don't have it out for McDonald's, except the fact that they've got so many additives and the rest of it, but they're kind of the big dog. If you can make them change, or they won't change and they fall, you can change the world. And so I wanted to get Anthony Gucciardi in here to talk about his article and dovetail it with the article earlier in the week you did for PrisonPlanet.com and StoryLeak.com, where you went over the government's admission of how many tons of fake food, kind of like how many pounds of rat feces can be in our food. I mean, this is in the regulations, but the average person doesn't know about it. And the system's battling to stop GMO labeling and to not let us know what's really in our food. And then meanwhile, we'll show our Twitter page. The new National Geographic coming out says it's a conspiracy theory to say GMO could hurt you, when in tons of studies they admit it's killing rats and causing problems. They've had to recall Starlink corn. I mean, hundreds of different GMO crops. But they're acting like, oh, none of that exists, hoping we're ignorant. Don't they know that doesn't work anymore, Anthony?
Well, how many years have we come on air and talked about all the devastating acts of Monsanto and McDonald's and the plastic foam chemicals in McDonald's Happy Meals that everyone's giving to their children, all the synthetic laxatives, all of it, right? How many years have we talked about that and warned over and over again that that's going to collapse as the consumers realize they're not going to eat it anymore? So you can go to somewhere like Whole Foods and get the same stuff that's better and organic for like $5. So the paradigm is collapsing.
I went to McDonald's when I was in that Chuck Norris movie they're shooting up in North Texas a few weeks ago, and I was coming back. I went in one just to use the bathroom in Waco. There was nothing in there but illegals. I guess they're the only ones that haven't gotten the memo. Sorry.
Well, as the economy collapses, people realize they can actually still get organic, healthier options for like $5, and no one wants to go to McDonald's anymore. And it just shows how greedy these corporations are, because, again, we don't have anything against these corporations individually. It's that they're loading us with garbage. But if they would have gone in the 90s or after Super Size Me came out and realized with their market research, which they knew.
If they had a change course then, it takes a while to turn a big organization around, but they could have done it and maintained market share. They didn't. They arrogantly doubled down on propaganda, just like Brian Williams did, lying again, and it didn't work.
And they're still doing it. They fired their CEO, and they're spending millions of dollars on these trendy campaigns.
And he's the one that tried to clean it up and give healthy food, compared to...
Exactly. He was saying, hey, we actually need to do something different. They want to, instead of changing the ingredients and actually having to spend roughly 2 more cents in many cases, according to some of the analysis, 2 cents per actual meal to change the synthetic fillers to actually non-garbage. And it's also important to remember that they did try to do stuff in the past, like they rejected GMO potatoes, and they actually got a little bit of good publicity.
But then last week they accepted them. Let's expand on this. Exactly. Chains like P. Terry's and In-Out Burger, P. Terry's is much smaller, In-Out's heard in L.A., that just give you an old-fashioned, big, juicy, dripping burger that doesn't taste like space food or National Lunch Program prison food. They're all displacing McDonald's. That's even bigger than the health people. McDonald's just feeds people space food crap people don't want. Bill Gates controlled, he's involved. Space food. I mean, we don't want glow-in-the-dark food that doesn't rot. I mean, Super Size Me showed it doesn't rot. Something's,
rots you.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm ranting. I mean, what does this signify, though? Am I right in saying this is a canary in the coal mine?
Yes, and it's a major victory. If you think about it, even CNN now, just think 5 years ago if this were to happen. CNN Money says, is McDonald's doomed? Right? And they talk about how their market share is going down. They're underperforming the market.
Yeah, I mean, it's not us in your article putting out sensational stuff. They're saying this.
Yeah. Business Insider. McDonald's is losing America, and it shows their actual profits going down, sliding down, just percentages of decline every single month. For the last 13 months, there's been closures. So these companies like McDonald's and like Monsanto, what's happening is we're actually making an effect. And with all economic turnarounds, it takes time, right? So it takes a series of years.
Voting with our dollars in the free market.
Exactly.
Which is why they want to end free markets that only have mega corporations so you don't have choice.
That's right. And people are going out and they're voting with their dollar, or overall the information is spreading. I mean, just this article right now on InfoWars and everyone carrying it's got, tens of thousands of shares just on Facebook. People are spreading the word. They're mad, and then that's a fact that is turning other individuals onto it.
We're going to retweet it right now at Real Alex Jones, this article on McDonald's. I would call it the fall of McDonald's.
It is.
Well, let's do a follow-up report.
Well, I think we should include this video in it, in fact.
The fall of too big to fail. We should do a whole, every week for the next month, a review of big corporations that were too big to fall. They got propped up, but they fell because people just stopped visiting them.
Well, I don't want to break this right here, but it is Coca-Cola is the next one in line. Their market share is going down. They're losing profits. They're tied to McDonald's and Monsanto. And Bill Gates also owns 500,000 plus shares of Monsanto as of 2011. Who knows what he owns now? So he's invested in all of this. What I want to know is really, is this actually the forefront of the elite system being completely crumbled and turned down over the years?
People get it. They have no power but voting with their dollars. And by the way, you couldn't find anybody that knew the Federal Reserve was private, run for profit, and foreign. Now, in major polls, most people know that. And they're set to try to audit it soon in the Senate. We're inches away from passing it. We're making progress. That's why they want to start new wars. That's why they want to start a civil war. That's why they've got the talk about the Oscars being racism. This is their tool of control. Anthony Gucciardi's my guest. I want to go to your calls, but Anthony's going to be back on with me tomorrow and a bunch of guests on the weekday show covering nature's best remedies. The world of health and healing all around you. National Geographic. People have gone to jail for saying what's in this. But why are they allowed to? Because they know there's a market out there. You have to, and then they sell the products at the back. But separately, there's a new National Geographic coming out saying vaccines are not linked to autism and that GMO isn't linked to problems. So the dinosaur media is kind of talking out of both sides of its mouth. We'll break it down tomorrow. Right now, let's go to Elijah in Indiana. You disagree, we're told. Thank you for calling.
Yes, hi, Alex. Thanks for taking my call. And I've seen your show a lot regularly over the last year. I say you're doing a great job.
Thank you, brother.
You're one of the reasons why they're going to lose. And my disagreement isn't a big one. It's almost, I'm sort of playing devil's advocate. You said what's going on in the Middle East right now is 100% all controlled by, the globalists, the guys really pulling the strings.
Well, no, starting it and shepherding it and protecting it, but they were manipulating forces that were already there. It's like causing a cattle stampede or something. You're not the cattle, you don't run them, but you fired the flare gun into them to make them start running.
Right, I would agree, but I think, you know better than anyone, these globalists, they're control freaks. They need to control every aspect that they oversee. And I feel that they see, the jihadists, they see these radical groups as almost a wild card, not so much a threat, but just the fact that
I agree. They want to bomb some of them and get them back in line. Absolutely. It's like a cattle prod to keep the cattle, going the direction you want. It's like a sheepdog herding the sheep.
Sorry. You can pin them as the common enemy and rally the troops, get the troops back on the side of the machine of the government to get them to attack them. And then over here back in America, you can push everyone who disagrees with the left and CNN and whatnot, you can call them xenophobic, Islamophobic, or racist. You can continue the racial and political...
Exactly. You can see the dialectic while the globalists are behind it. Excellent point. Anything else?
No, not at all, but thank you for letting me talk on your show. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Anthony, comments on what he just said?
No, I think that's great. That's the kind of discussion we need, not someone calling in and just bashing you, but actually saying, hey, I disagree with this point, and you actually, sounds like you agree perfectly with them.
Well, sure. I mean, it's stuff's so complex. It's hard to put these ideas out exactly correctly because it's so complex.
And that's the thing, too, that if you're willing to actually explain the ideas, you're putting yourself out to be attacked because there's so much minutia and minute detail.
Exactly. The media has dumbed the debate down to just Coke, Pepsi, Ford, Chevy. We're here to get people outside the box. Not to think like we do, just to think outside the box.
That's why they don't actually argue with your segments. They take snippets of a 30-second discussion that you have and then attack that. Or images.
Or they'll just make something up. That's what.
That's it.
Look at this. We've been saying this forever. Fresh nuclear leak detected at Fukushima. Talk about why people should get X2.
Yeah.
Protect their thyroids. I mean, that's why I got into thyroid research, all the thyroid problems in this country.
And that's kind of an example, if I may mention something as well. I mean, Fukushima, it's not something that's in your face. You don't see green clouds of radiation coming to your house, but every single day it's coming to the West Coast. All the scientists and experts say it's going to happen for...
The FDA and EPA had to raise the level of what they said was safe because of it.
And they shut the counters off in Fukushima and on the West Coast. I mean, it's still happening every day. The radiation's still hitting us. We're still going to...
It's still melting down.
Yeah, I mean, we're still going to get sick from it. People are dying of cancer near Fukushima, 6,000% increase in cancer rates, but we don't see that every day, so no one cares. They will care if another explosion happens.
Oh, if 5 people get shot at a mall, they'll say suspend the Bill of Rights and Constitution.
Oh, exactly. But they don't care about the actual radiation because you can't